I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm a student at UT. I'm the Vice President of University Democrats. For one,
for the first time in our nation's history, we have the largest proportion of votes in an election.
he's, voice of our, my generation, and it's just really inspiring to see somebody who has such a powerful presence and is able to get stuff done. So.
Roughly 41 million registered voters that can change a nation. 16 million that have turned 18 since 2020. President Biden carried young folk by 35 points, and in 2022, almost every key battleground victory that was won with young people's votes.
Gotta get out there and vote. It is our power, it's our voice. We can't quit, we can't stop. Let's keep going. Thank you so much.
Texas is notorious for its voter suppression laws, and that's something that's happening on campus. It's happening all across Texas, and I want to make sure that my voice and the youth voice is represented in Texas and national politics.
How do I register to vote in Illinois? If you're a resident of the land of Lincoln and 18 by Election Day, listen up. Registering to vote is your ticket to the ballot box. First, check if you're not already registered. You might have done it without a second thought when getting your driver's license. Now, on to the how-to. You can register online. It's the digital age after all. Just visit the Illinois online voter registration system. You'll need a state ID or driver's license. No ID? No problem. You can still register by mail or in person. For the old school folks, paper forms are your friends. Grab one at your local election office, library, or DMV. Fill it out, mail it in, or drop it off. Easy peasy. In-person registration is like a mini adventure. Visit your local election office, DMV, or even a voter registration event. Bring proof of identity and residence and they'll sort you out. Plus, Illinois has grace period registration. Missed the deadline? You can still register and vote at specific locations. Check with your local election authority for the scoop. And remember, voting is like updating your status, but for democracy. It's your voice, your vote, and your power.
We've been keeping an eye on voter registration numbers through the summer, especially when school was out. And one of the great things that we've seen is that 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds have really been turning out and registering to vote over the past few months. Since June 1st, we've had over 34,000 new voter registrations. The vast majority of those voters are under the age of 34. And the vast majority of those voters are women, and particularly young women. Taking a look at some of the numbers from 2020 as well as 2016, this is a big spike. We haven't seen this type of 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds register to vote. This really seems to point to a good amount of energy, a spike in people getting interested and ready and prepared to vote in November.
So honored to be sitting here with Jahmal Cole, the founder of my block, my hood, and my city. As we look toward the November 5th election, tell me what you see ahead of us from your position as working with the young people in the community. What do you see?
We need to learn as much as possible right now to be able to share with others. We need to get the youth registered to vote. From my understanding, you were telling me that there's 4,800 youth registered to vote on the north side of Chicago and downtown, and the numbers on the south side are innocuous or we're not really represented as much. And so that puts a charge on me to register voters in Chatham, to register voters in Inglewood, to register voters in South Shore, to register voters in Roseland, and that's something we can do. It's possible. And so I'm inspired to actually go to the high schools and to even the middle schools and get people inspired to vote. We work in North Lawndale a lot, we work in Austin a lot, and we work probably with 10 high schools on the west side of Chicago. And so it would be easy for us to, it'd be simple, it would be easy, but it'd be simple for us to work with the high schools to just go and have students go live and get other people signed up. We can utilize technology in ways today that we couldn't even do it 5 years ago. So, yeah. So this is actually really encouraging to see how it's done. Like this event right now, to have the young folks sign up to vote and actually go live and register other people to vote, that's the formula. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just go do it on lunch break.
There's blood on these ballots. You know, people have given their lives. Talk to me about your impact and how are you going to allow our young people to realize that and to realize they have power.
My earliest really memory of racism really was in Fort Worth, Texas, where I jumped on a bus with my dad, and there was a white man. He said, "That's a nice young boy you got there. If I was any younger, I'd kill him." I didn't understand what racism really meant at that point in my life. Me and my dad both got off the bus. I think I was 6 years old when he said that, but that always stuck with me. And to see that folks have died for us to have the right to vote, and we are not having any appreciation for our liberty is actually disgraceful. And so I want to make sure that we just tell those stories so we can just light a fire under the young folks and let them know that, you know, it's our duty, it's our civic duty to actually get engaged and to vote.
What do you think is a strategy so that we can teach our children their power?
Well, I think keeping it real with the students and letting them know that, you know, in Chatham, in the 6th Ward of Chicago, in the aldermanic elections, there was only 4,500 votes in the whole, you know, in the election. There's probably way more 18-year-olds in the 6th Ward than that, you know? And so if we can actually get 1,000 students registered to vote, that means the youth can sway the whole election. Who do you want to see in office? I mean, the youth you guys are way diverse nowadays. You guys are thinking differently about gun laws. You're thinking differently about abortion justice. You're thinking differently about, you know, poverty. Like, you guys are super diverse. So if 1,000 of y'all got together, like, you can throw a trend party on a block. If 1,000 of y'all did a trend vote party, y'all could sway an aldermanic election in Chicago and get whoever you wanted into office. So that's true power. And if you did it at a citywide level, it'd be...
You have hit the golden bell, because that's what we want our children to realize. They have power. They can determine who their aldermen are. They can determine who their state reps are. They can determine who the next mayor is. They can work with their aldermen that they chose to be able to turn around these food deserts.
And 28,000 people in the 6th Ward play the lottery every month.
Okay.
So you just think about, like, if 28,000 people play in the lottery, then we can definitely show up in droves to vote. And so you don't want to vote for candidates that are wearing red bottoms and their shoes are dirty. You want to vote for candidates that actually have scuffed up shoes. They're out in the streets. You see them at the local block club meeting. You see them at the local football games. You know, you see them at the Jewel Osco. Those are the, you know, that's the candidate. That's the candidate I'm gonna vote for.
Chicago is a microcosm of many ethnic groups and organizations. Our goal is to allow our diversity to be our strength. What do you see as our future for doing this so that their power becomes their strength, that there's collaboration between the kids on the north side and the south side?
Dr. King said it best, that like a cloth, he was describing how we're interconnected. So what happens in Pilsen matters to me even if I live in Chatham.
That's right.
What happens on 79th Street matters to me even if I live on 95th. A chain is only as strong as the weakest link, and Chicago is only as strong as its most under-resourced community. It's kind of how I think about it. And so we're all trying to play the same, we're all trying to make the same music together. So if you think about Chicago like a band, I guess, like Chatham would play the timpani, Woodlawn would play the cymbals, Uptown would play the xylophones, and North Lawndale would play the drums. And if one of those communities are out of whack, then the whole piece would suffer. The whole piece wouldn't sound great. So I think that we all can make the music together. And I just think we have to make it make sense to people. You just have to make it make sense. So I like how you guys talk about doing your own research and asking yourself, how does this make me feel? What ideas does this spark? And then, and how can I have the courage to act right now while the ideas are hot? Like, ideas are like a flame on a candle. It can be gone by tomorrow. So how can I act right now while the flame is hot? I think that is what we need to encourage our youth to do. Like, start acting and learn from the firing line of that action. So it is a start for me. I'm encouraged to be a proponent. I'm encouraged to act. Talking with Wadi earlier, I'm a person that's actually registered over 20,000 people to vote in Chicago before by using hip hop. What are the young people doing with TikTok nowadays? What are the young people doing with, like I said, trend parties? What are they engaged in? How can we connect policies to what they're interested in?
Okay.
And so I feel like this is a start by you just showing me the formula and me talking with Wadi. I think that I want to use my voice more to not just give a motivational talk, but actually give an empowering talk where we can have some, you can not only be motivated, but you can sign up to vote. I would play my part, and there's got to be 100 other people like me that would do the same. You know, for me, I feel like democracy starts from the block level outwards instead of the city level inwards. So what matters to you? Is there 15 currency exchanges in your neighborhood and no banks? You know, is there an overwhelming presence of police? Have you read the consent decree? You know, how come you have to order your food through bulletproof glass windows every day? How come the currency exchange charges you 3% on your $100 and they got bulletproof glass windows when they robbing you? If you care about those things, then you need to vote. If you don't vote, don't complain. But it's time for you to get involved. And if you need to know how to get involved, please go to my website, formyblog.org, reach out to us, and we'll come to you and talk to you about the importance of voting. How about that? We'll pull up to your block and talk to you about it.
Whether it's issues from climate, from issues to voting rights, issues to police accountability and reform, we build out the future that we want to see. It's either we decide to be on the right or wrong side of history. And we are at a moment in our crossroads where we are split between fear, division, or hope and opportunity. And I believe we are the generation who believes in progression. We have always been that generation who have been on the right side of history. When you look at every movement, young people have been at the forefront. And I think it's going to be no different in this era when we elect the first woman president, Vice President Kamala Harris.
I'm lucky that I get to work with a lot of musicians and a lot of bands. We help run a music venue too called Book Club. And we book a lot of Milwaukee bands. So right now what we're trying to do is reach out to those Milwaukee bands, get those Gen Z voters out there, make them feel more comfortable about voting because some of them are a little bit on the fence towards institutions in general. So working on that and just really getting out there and using just my personal network of just young people to try to get people hyped.
This is your chance to make your voice heard. It is the loudest megaphone into what policies are enacted, who is elected, how our government behaves. It's huge.
Every vote matters, and for us young voters, the people we are electing now are making decisions that will impact our lives for years to come.
So for the young folks that I don't get involved in politics and they ain't gonna do nothing and they all lying, I always say this: if you eat a bag of hot Cheetos, if you eat a bag of anything like that, you're already involved in politics. There's taxes on those chips, right? And those taxes are going somewhere. They're going to a school, they're going to the roads that you drive on. And so please understand that you matter, you are already involved, so you might as well have a voice. And your vote is your voice. Ain't nobody playing. There was blood on the ballot. Before you were here, there was somebody that died so that you could vote. The least you could do is get informed and care. So don't be running around talking about they lying. If they lying, then you be the one that's telling the truth. How about that?